Hello everyone, my name is Dominic Damore and thank you for tuning in to the second best thing you'll hear all week. We have a great show for you today that includes top-notch film reviews and, as always, the box office battle. This is the I've Had Better podcast. Let's kick it off. James, what do we have first for the fans this week?
Hello everyone, my name is James Langos and welcome to the show. Each week Dom and I will give you the fans a review of a film currently in theaters, or in the rare occurrence we can't afford to go to theaters that week, we will dig deep into our film libraries to break down an old great or just a random piece of garbage. This week's review is The Green Room and Keanu.
It's going to be a little different this week because James had some religious requirements / he's just a lazy son of a bitch and was not able to attend the movie this year, but I did.
This year?
Yeah, well, it feels like it. Let's face facts.
That hurts.
It does. But I was able to see 3 movies this week, actually. The movie we're not going to talk about is Mother's Day because it's extremely racist and everybody should avoid it. Take my word for it. Not only is it a bad movie, but it completely sends the wrong message to anyone under the age of 40.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's a large group.
All right, so James, what movie do you want to talk about first?
Let's go with The Green Room because I don't care about Keanu.
Keanu wasn't that bad.
I know.
And
I do like both the creators and guys who star in it.
Key and Peele.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're funny.
So how about you read the description of Green Room for the fans?
I will. After witnessing a murder, a punk rock band is forced into a vicious fight for survival against a group of maniacal skinheads.
I actually really enjoyed this film. Had you seen the trailer for it?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually saw the director commentating trailer too. Yeah.
From the trailer view, it felt like it was going to be super gory, and I likened it to like Hostel type feel. Mm-hmm. Like I fully expected somebody to get their toes chopped off and things like that because it's in the backwoods of Oregon, and they're going up against these neo-Nazi-ish type people, and they listen to this heavy punk, like screaming music, and it's very aggressive. But I was pleasantly surprised with the violence that was involved in it. It felt very real world. The entire story in general actually felt very real world.
When I was listening to the trailer with the director commentating, the director said that he was in a band. A lot of the movie's undertones and some scenes, I'm sure, were actually based off his life, off his stories he heard or witnessed himself.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. The other thing I have to give credit for, forgive me, I don't have my review up in front of me, but the director's name?
Jeremy Saliner?
Yeah. We'll go with that's how to pronounce the last name. I don't really know either. But he wrote and directed it. And he shot a beautiful movie. It was tight and compact and something that you would have really appreciated because it was a little over an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
So there were no real dead points in the movie. It was tight to the point where every scene rolled into the other one fairly well. And overall, I think everyone cast in the film was cast perfectly. I don't think anybody really stood out as, oh, they don't really belong here, or they're overacting.
How was Patrick Stewart?
He was really good. Gave probably the best performance of the film.
That's understandable.
But I have to admit, his calmness is very intimidating, and his demeanor throughout the film is a little chilling. But I would have liked a little bit more of emotion at certain points, like just a small crack at times. But overall, no, he was very good. He's quickly rising up there as the last voices I would want to hear on the other side of a door if I'm locked inside of it. Like
that's fair, yeah, understandable.
Him, Anthony Hopkins, those two who probably go neck and neck right now for ones like, yeah, I'm gonna die. Like this is it.
Great voices.
Yes, they really are. But he definitely gave the best performance. My favorite, though, was actually a guy who I'd never seen in a film before. His name is Joe Cole. He plays the badass band member who like knows a little bit of MMA stuff, and he's the one who like, all right, the band's in trouble. He's the one who breaks up the fight, and you expect him to be this big time hero in the movie, kind of, and he's the one who kills like 6 different Nazis and stuff. But the movie doesn't go like that. The movie is very real world, like I said. Like, they realize they're trapped in this room. They don't try to come up with some elaborate escape plan because they're like, we're screwed. There's no way out of this room. So we go out the front door. We run. Not everybody's going to live. Probably all of us will die, but at least somebody has a chance. So it was very cool in that way.
Mm-hmm. How many times did you jump?
None.
None?
No, it is not a jump scare kind of movie.
That's good to know.
It is much more thriller than it is gore violence. Like, I think 6 people might die throughout the movie.
How many people are in the green room?
At a certain point, there's like 8 in the green room, but I don't want to ruin it for those people who might see it, but
well, that's okay. They probably won't.
Realistically, they probably won't, because by the time this airs, it probably doesn't have many showings this weekend, because I know it wasn't on a ton of theaters.
Yeah. Limited release.
Yeah, but I mean, it definitely deserved to make money. And it was made for only $5 million, which I found really impressive, because at no time did it feel cheap. And it was actually shot beautifully. There's a couple of really nice like flying shots that follow a van through winding mountains of Washington.
Saw some of those in the trailer.
Yeah, so that was really cool. The visual effects that they did use, some of the prop work for some of the dog attacks and things like that were really good.
Yeah, so the action sequences were good?
They were. Yeah, I really liked them. They fit very well, too. I was expecting a ton of gore, but the director and cinematographer did a good job of doing that thing where you get the first second of somebody like getting cut, but then it flashes back over to their face. And you can imagine their entire arm getting mangled, but you don't actually see it. So you feel like you're there, but it's not to the point where it's gratuitous.
That's good.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little too much. It's not really what you want to see.
Yeah, no, but I thought this movie handled it very well.
Were you interested the entire time?
Oh, yeah. No, it held my attention very well.
Helps because it's shorter.
Yes, that definitely helped. If it would have added like an extra half hour, I guarantee some of the plot points would have felt a little bit more like, what the hell's going on? And they don't tell you a whole bunch. I think that added to it.
Keeps you in the dark a little bit.
Yeah, like you don't find out really why the first girl who's murdered, that the reason they're there, is there until, I don't know, like 20 minutes left in the movie. And even then, it's not like an insane reason. Like, it's not like, oh, she was going to the cops to tell them that about the 500 military soldiers they have hidden in the woods. It was like, nope.
Was that your Batman voice?
It was.
Because that was pretty good.
Yeah. Every time I gotta be serious, it goes straight Batman.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not. As far as it's not a perfect film, though. It was close to a perfect film for a majority of the movie. But like a lot of films, and one we're going to talk about after this, the third act for me falls apart a little bit. Not that it's not good, and the movie it's well written, and there's no point that I was like, oh, this is stupid, or like it takes me out of it, really. But it did lose a bit of that real world feel. There's an odd face turn by a villain that they don't really give an explanation as to why he's now like helping people. And then there's a callback to a story that was attempted to be told in the beginning of the movie about this game of paintball and how it relates to their current situation, because they were going up against these ex-military officers who just had them at every go. And it was a cool device because, like, in the beginning of the movie, they're like, does this story have a point? Because we're going. And they kind of cut them off. And at the end, when they feel like they're going to die, they're like, hey, why don't you finish your story? But it felt really contradictory, the story he was telling versus what they did. So it kind of ruined it for me. And they lost a bit of that real world feel because their final escape plan, I suppose, has those moments where it's like, that worked way better than it should have. Like, overall, it was a good film. I highly recommend people should see it. If you got a weaker stomach, maybe wait for it's on DVD. That way you can cover your eyes and yell and scream like the little girl that Jimmy was.
I did not want to see it.
So, as far as my rating, on a scale of 1 to Good Will Hunting, I gave this movie a 7.8 out of 10 apples.
That's still impressive.
Yeah, no, it was...
For the way you just trashed it, the third act, that's still pretty high.
The first 2 acts are so good.
Makes up for the third one being shitty.
It really does. And the third act is not shitty. Like, it's not...
Could have been better.
It's just they lost a little bit of what made the first 2 acts special, and it came back down to being more of like, all right, this is a survivor story in the middle of the woods, like. So by losing that real world feel just a bit, it lost probably about an apple and a half.
That's still higher than I thought for sure.
Yeah, no, it was great. I loved it.
Good.
What's the next movie that I'm going to talk about that you didn't see?
Wow. A lot of jabs today.
A little bit. That's what happens.
Keanu.
Why don't you read the description for this film?
Alrighty. Friends hatch a plot to retrieve a stolen kitten by posing as drug dealers for a street gang.
As we talked about before, this movie was written by Jordan Peele and I believe somebody else, possibly the director. I don't remember.
Alex Rubens.
Oh,
not the director.
Yeah, but written by those two, starring Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele of the critically acclaimed sketch comedy show Key and Peele on Comedy Central. And I had very little motivation / hope going into this movie. It was very much one of those things where it's like, you know what? I do this podcast. It's my responsibility to the fans who do come and watch these videos or listen to us on iTunes, that, you know what, we have a responsibility to go see movies over the weekend, even when we have other things going on. We just got to fit them into the schedule. I'm sorry, I just like fucking with you, James. But no, like, it was just one. It happens a lot lately, especially in this time of the year, because we're not into blockbuster season quite yet, that we get those movies where studios kind of take chances on. So I wasn't super excited about going to see this movie. Have to admit, though, pleasantly surprised with how it turned out.
It's another one I'm definitely surprised at because it's got 2 people trying to get a kitten back.
Yeah. It was stupid, but it was oddly serious in a way. Like, I know it makes no sense, but the 2 main actors, Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key, one minute they'll be spouting out these random, like, oh, this is what I saw on The Wire once, so, like, I have to try to act hard. And then there's this middle moment where, like, they have legit turns to where, like, when when Jordan Peele finds out who has his cat, they go and impersonate these people and they get a meeting with them and they're acting all hard, but they haven't actually seen the cat yet. And then once the cat shows up, Jordan Peele instantly switches, like, I like that cat.
Just to a gangster?
Yeah, like, he was trying to be gangster before, but, like, he slips into it at this point. And it's one of those moments where it's like, this is a little bit Denzel in Training Day. Like, yeah. It's really good. Like he would be intimidating if I saw this guy.
Yeah.
While dressed in khaki pants and
was the guy that had the kitten Method Man?
Yes, he's the villain of the film.
All right, I was looking through the list who's in the film on IMDb, and his name in the film is Cheddar.
Cheddar, yes. They have a great joke in the movie where Keegan-Michael Key is like, we'll get this cat back. Like, if he doesn't want to, like, give it up, we'll offer him some money, and I'm sure he'll give us the cat back. And Jordan Peele goes, no, this guy is crazy. He will kill us. I guarantee you he's not going to try to give us this cat back just for a few dollars. He's like, the guy's name is Cheddar. And Jordan Peele goes, yeah, that's the point. The crazier you are, the sweeter your name is. Like, if you meet Fluffy Unicorn, he will cut your nuts off.
I thought it was funny when I was looking at it because I remembered Method Man in The Wire, his name was Cheese.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I thought that was funny, and I don't know if they did that on purpose.
I guarantee you.
That was just a coincidence.
I guarantee that was a play on the fact that his name was Cheese. And
I thought it was very creative.
Yeah. See, and that's why this movie was good. There was moments like that.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Peele usually does the writing, I think, for most of the stuff. And he's a genius. He's amazing with words, and he knows how the timing and how it fits all the time.
Yeah, so why didn't you want to see it?
I actually got more into it after I listened to them talk about it on Bill Simmons' podcast, and I would have gone and seen it. I just didn't have time.
Yeah, but I don't mean that. I just mean, like, 'cause you had no motivation to
At
see
first,
it.
I didn't, because it just looked stupid from the trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just the premise looked really dumb.
Yeah. It's not a great movie, and the third act, like I said with Green Room, does go off the rails a little bit. Like, this is the time where it's like, throw it all in there, see what happens. Like, you have car chases and shootouts, and people get shot, and people, like, there's people who you think aren't cops turn out to be cops, and people who are good guys turn out to be bad guys, and
just a normal cop type movie.
A little bit, but put on steroids because it all happens in like a 15-minute window.
Yeah.
It dropped down a little bit for me. There weren't a ton of like belly laughs. Like
no good one-liners.
There was a couple of good one-liners, but there's no like, oh my god, like I have to catch my breath really quick.
Yeah,
so
it's not like a Wedding Crashers.
No, like it's not like The Hangover. It's not gonna go
bad.
Yeah, it's not gonna go down with like one of the great comedies of the past like 10 years. But really, we saw some budding superstars in this movie.
Yeah.
Especially the cinematographer. Okay. Jace Shelton. He shot a beautiful movie. The slow motion scenes of the cat running were visually stunning. The action was really good. Arguably some of the best I've seen, like right up there with the Michael Bay's. It's very short action, but it looked really cool. Soundtrack was great. I was pleasantly surprised with the film.
That's good.
Yeah.
How was Keanu Reeves?
He's
uncredited.
He is.
He can't be that much.
He literally voices the cat for about like 30 seconds, and all he really does is quote a couple of Matrix lines.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it was funny to hear. It would have been better if I hadn't heard about it before. It just like popped up in the movie. But one of the funnier continuous storylines was Keegan-Michael Key's character really likes George Michael. Sings "You Gotta Have Faith" on all of his songs throughout, and he
does one in the trailer, I think
he does, and that like he goes on a drug trip and he feels like he's in the Faith video, and so that's funny. And he gets some of the gang members he's with to like, yeah, no, this guy is hard, like, and he convinces him he's a black guy and stuff like that, and one of them gets George Michael's name tattooed on his body, so that was really funny. The movie had its moments. And I walked out of the theater not feeling like I wasted my money. And for me, that's the goal of most movies. Like, just make sure I didn't waste my money.
Yep. I'm glad the studio gave these guys a chance to at least try and do a movie. Mm-hmm. Do you think there'll be a second?
They do set up for a sequel, but $15 million budget. They probably, I would say, put another at least like 30 into marketing, maybe. Could be a little less, but it didn't make great money opening weekend.
What did it make? 9?
Like 9.4 roughly.
Yeah, it's not.
So I mean, if it has a good week, like if it drops off like $1 million next week, and then there could be a chance, but it's gonna have to do some real numbers over the next like few weeks, and it's gonna be tough considering you got Jungle Book still out. You got Captain America is coming out next week. So a sequel, I think, is going to be tough to do.
Yep.
They definitely could, though. They had their moments. And I think even if there's no sequel, these guys are going to get a lot of work going.
They'll have another chance to write something else or star in something else.
Mm-hmm. As far as my rating for this film goes, it's a little tougher. Not quite in my wheelhouse. And it had moments that were good, but the third act really brought it down for me. It was still good, but I'm going with a 5.9 out of 6 apples. So just below fresh on the Rotten Tomato meter, but a solid score to where you're going to walk out knowing, like, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. That's what I was expecting. Somewhere in the mid-range.
Yeah.
Just because they're funny guys.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the box office battle. A competition for bragging rights between friends who want nothing more than to prove they know more than the other guy, and who buys the first rounds of drinks. How the game works is each week, my co-host and I will predict the top 5 films at the box office. Whoever gets closest to the correct order wins the point for the week.
And this week was a special week in particular because of how it turned out, and tables were turned a little bit in the overall scheme of things, James. But with that being said...
Hey, it's okay. We treat this like golf course or like the X Games. I'm going to give you a high five. Make it loud so people can hear.
That was not impressive at all, for the record. It was a pretty weak attempt. I went left-handed. I was not prepared.
We've had better high fives.
Yeah. But the results for last week's box office are as follows. Taking the top spot for the 3rd week in a row was Disney's The Jungle Book, dropping off a staggeringly low 31% to the tune of $42.4 million. The second spot, in an extremely close battle for second and third place, goes to The Huntsman Winter's War with $9.39 million. Newcomer Keanu was in third place with $9.35 million. And fourth place goes to another newcomer, but what can only be described as a box office disappointment was the holiday-themed, racially insensitive Mother's Day, earning $8.3 million. And rounding out the top 5 was Barbershop, The Next Cut, earning a solid $6.1 million in its 3rd week. James, what are your thoughts on this week's results, and give us your picks for next week?
I just want to say great job for the W.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That turned the tides. I am now back on top. I believe I am winning. Let's see, we're 13. I think I'm 7-6 over you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going. I did not expect Huntsman to be number 2.
Neither did I. We both placed that movie 4th.
Yeah. And everything else wasn't too far off, I think, from what we had, or you had.
Yeah, depending on who you go off of. I took these numbers from Collider Video.
Not Box Office Mojo?
No.
Why? Because I would have won?
No, I still would. Actually, if I would have taken Box Office Mojo, my numbers were even closer. Oh. But okay. It just... Fair enough. I have more faith in the million subscribe or 250,000 subscriber, million views type website than I do in my ability to read. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to take it straight from these guys. But
that's fair.
So Keanu and Huntsman were so close that those were flip-flopped on Box Office Mojo. But either way, it's still staggering that Winter's War came that close. It beat out a movie like Mother's Day that I thought could have, like...
I thought was going to do a lot better.
I mean, Valentine's Day did what, like 50-something million that we talked about? And
yeah.
But good for that, and I hope nobody goes to see this. I hope this movie drops off to like $1, and Gary Marshall realizes that he's an 81-year-old racist. It's a little aggressive. I highly doubt the man's racist, and read my article that I posted today, Monday, on the website. It's just, like, it felt very much...
I mean, if he's 81, he actually could be a racist.
Yeah, but it's the way where, like, when we talk to our grandparents and our grandparents say something that's like, no, we don't say that anymore, Grandpa. Like
it's wrong.
I love you because you're my grandpa, but like that's kind of fucked up. It felt very much like that, where like Gary Marshall was sitting on the set. You're like, no, yep, those words are funny. Like, oh, it's a little bit racist, but don't worry, we're making fun of the racists. Doesn't count.
Sorry.
It's all good. It made my point seem like majestic and like blessed because like, oh, he made a good point.
Just for the record, that was a Cavs timer. It's not my fault.
Yeah. As far as the other, I mean, Jungle Book only dropping off 31%.
Crazy.
That's like, I was expecting low 30s to be honest. Like, and that would have been around a 50% drop off. But
do you think it makes more than Zootopia? Zootopia is at 932.
Oh my God, Zootopia's almost at $1 billion.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Beating out Batman versus. Not good for Batman versus Superman.
Well, but on the plus side, Batman vs Superman did become the 7th highest grossing comic book movie of all time this week. So
yeah, that's still something that's semi-impressive.
Yeah, and we've got some information on Warner Brothers and DC's upcoming film slate that could be really big and disastrous. What we'll talk about in Friday's episode. So,
ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah, come back and check that out. But to answer your question you were saying before, I don't think it'll beat Zootopia. That's a tall number to climb, and I don't see this getting $8 million in its 12th week or whatever the hell.
Yeah, Zootopia's
doing. Like, I just don't think it'll get like that replayability. I don't think kids are really gonna go back to it that much. I think a lot of this comes from people who are going out and talking about it. It's getting good word of mouth because people are like, "Oh, it's visually stunning," but it's not going to be this movie where, like, 5 weeks from now, somebody's going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to go take my 5-year-old to see Jungle Book again."
Yeah.
And then
it'll be something to watch out for.
Yeah. And then Huntsman Winter's War, 9.39. They can't be excited about that considering everything. Solid, fairly budget. They made decent money overseas. I think their grand total global number is just over 100 million. So they make like another like 30. They'll break even hopefully, but yeah, they got to be fairly disappointed with that. And just my final note, Barbershop 6.1.
Still a good number.
Yeah, they're over 44 million domestically. That's a solid number for a movie like that. I'm sure they would have wished that they made more than that, but
yeah, I mean everyone always wishes more they made more.
At the worst case, you still have to look forward to Barbershop, the almost last cut.
It'll never end.
I mean, at this point, there's no reason to. Every movie makes the same amount of money for them, literally. Yeah. Like, it's insane. So how would you give us your picks for next week?
All right, for next week, I have obviously Civil War.
No.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
Are you sure? Let's.
I'm positive. I want Civil War.
How about a number? What number you got for that?
What'd Batman do? 160.
169. Oh, can't remember.
I think it beats Batman.
You think? Duh. No offense. that was not supposed to come off as a negative. It was, but no, it's gonna beat Batman. 175 is a solid number.
I think 175. I'm okay with that. It'll probably go like 190.
It just might.
You never know. Number 2, Jungle Book.
Good pick again.
I don't think it's going to drop off much at all.
Probably not. And the other thing is nothing else is premiering against Captain America. Everybody's running scared.
43 it made this week. But yeah, that's still
my bad.
Crazy amount of money. So that, and then I'm kind of torn. I think I might just go Huntsman number 3.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Keanu at 4. Maybe. These bottom 3 are just toss-ups. They're so close this week.
Yeah.
And then Mother's Day at 5, unfortunately. As much as you don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's still probably going to make like 4 million.
And especially because next week is Mother's Day weekend, it's probably going to make money. I don't think it's going to make 8.3, but I guarantee it makes around like 5.
Yeah, it's hard to go away from it with it being in 3,000 theaters.
Mm-hmm. I have a not so similar list to you, actually. I thought for sure that Jimmy and I would end up going chalk this week because of the obvious number 1 and 2. But I'm going Captain America Civil War at number 1. My number is 193.
193. Let me write that down.
Yeah.
193 and 175.
Yeah. 193, I believe that'll put it as the number 3 highest opening weekend of all time. Real solid number.
Yeah. Very aggressive.
Yeah. And number 2, I'm going to go with The Jungle Book. And number 3, I am going with Keanu. I see very little drop-off on this movie. I think it's going to get decent word of mouth. I think people liked it, found it funny. So I can honestly see it doing like 7 million next week, dropping off practically nothing. And then in the 4th spot, I have Mother's Day. And rounding, even though it doesn't deserve it because it's awful. And in the 5th spot, I have The Huntsman Winter's War because dropped off 50%, over 50% from week 1. And then this will be its 3rd week, I believe. Yes, 3rd week. So I'm expecting another 50% drop off, which would put it right in the 4.8 range-ish. So, and I think it could even lower than that. And Keanu and Mother's Day, I think, definitely break those numbers.
It's a good choice.
Yeah.
I like yours.
Thanks.
Solid picks.
Yeah, it's about time you complimented my picks.
This is the first time you've actually had reasonable picks.
Oh, really? That's why I've beaten you 7 out of 13 episodes.
I don't know what to say. It doesn't happen all the time.
It does not. But let us know what your guys' top 5 picks are. You've heard ours. Send us yours on Twitter using the hashtag IHB Movies, or shoot us an email to ihbpodcast@gmail.com like Jimmy's brother did. We're going to read that in for Friday's episode. And don't forget to go and like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter @IHB Podcast and I've Had Better Podcast on Facebook. All right. Well, with all that being said, thank you for tuning in this week. If you enjoyed the show, please like this episode and subscribe to the I've Had Better Podcast Network. You can also follow us on Twitter on the handle that I just said a few seconds ago @IHB Podcast and on Facebook. James, tell the people how to find you.
I'm on Twitter, and my Twitter handle is @the_Kaiser_Soze, or on Facebook @Jimmy Langos. And don't forget to check out the website, www.ihbpodcast.com. And we are also on iTunes, so don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, you can find that on iTunes by just going to the search bar and typing in I've Had Better Podcast. It'll pop right up. Download the episode, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and feel free to leave a comment about how awesome we are. And as always, I am Dominic Demore. You can follow me on Twitter @DomDemore. That's DOMDEMORE. Or on Facebook @Dominic Demore. How was the show today, James?
Yeah, I've had better.
You usually do when you see the movies. Good night, everybody.
You're waiting for that one,
Oh,
weren't you?
I was hard.